Hi, I'm Opal Mitchell. I work for the Central Arkansas Library System, and I work at the Nixon branch in Jacksonville. And this is the Crafting with Opal program that I do on Thursday nights at 7. Tonight I'm going to do a project, sew a project, which is going to be a lanyard. And let me grab it real quick. Should have put it within reach. But here's an example. It's just going to be a really basic lanyard with this type of clasp on it. And you can make it any length depending on how long you want your lanyard to be. This won't be a breakaway one because we don't have the pieces for a breakaway lanyard. This will be just a basic one that we're going to be doing. And you can always, I'm sure you could probably find the pieces online somewhere to or you could take an old one that you have and take it apart and use those pieces. That's actually what I've got an old lanyard from work that has a breakaway piece on it, and I took that one apart when it got old, and I was going to eventually make me a new one. So you could easily do that with this one if you wanted to. But we're just doing a basic lanyard, and I'm just going to show you how to cut it out. If you're one of the people that came by and got supplies for this class, you should have a couple of different prints to choose from. I gave enough fabric for 2 different ones. I only gave one of the lanyard clasp though, but I wasn't real sure which print you'd probably like, so I gave you a couple of different ones to choose from. And it's basically, you're just only going to need a fabric that's only 3 inches wide because we're going to be folding it, and the length of it will all depend on how long you want it. I was trying to get enough fabric that we can make it over 50 inches long, because I found when I was making this one that I made it the longer length, and then I wrapped it around my neck and felt of where I wanted the clasp to fall on the front of me, and then from that's how I judged on how much to cut off. So I thought that was the best way to do it, because everyone's a little different on, everybody's body is different as far as how long you are in your top half. I know I've got longer legs than I do. My torso's shorter. My sister and I we're the same height, but I have longer legs than her, and she's got a longer torso than me. So everyone's different. So I felt like that was, instead of having a set length for the lanyard, to let you make it a little bit longer than you normally would, and then you can play with cutting off the excess depending on how you want it done. I have a dog pawing at my legs trying to get in my lap. You're not going to get to do this, and this is the one that's bugging me right now. She wants to be held, but that's not going to work. You're going to get in your bed over there, and you're going to lay down while I do my program, okay? Okay. Okay. Let me put her up, and then I'll show you how to show you what I'm working with as far as the fabric. And this Facebook thing has been giving me a hard time about doing the comments, or showing the comments for me. So I'm going to do a quick comment myself saying hello, just so the comments will go ahead and pop up. Oh, there's Mitzi. See, now my stuff's showing up, and it wasn't showing up earlier. So, I need to make this taller. And lean this over. And I've got this fabric right here. This is actually some fabric that got donated to the library. For a lanyard, in my opinion, to really have a good print, if you're going to go with a print instead of a solid, something with small, some kind of small print on it that's repeated a lot, it's going to work better than something with a large print, because it's going to, you fold it up so small, as you can see, that you're not going to get to see it very good if it's a large print of some kind. I have a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas fabric, and I looked at my prints, and here, let me show you real quick. Most of them are kind of big like this, so they're the print's kind of going to get lost whenever you fold it up. It's not going to be as visible. This one might work okay, but some of the other ones bigger than that, they're definitely not going to show up. So you want to go with a smaller print that's going to actually show whenever you start cutting it. So you can cut it out any way you like. I prefer using one of these mats that quilters use, and the quilting, let's see, what are they called? Rulers, because I can use the rotary cutter to cut my fabric out. What size do we make for a key fob? For a key fob, I would say, because you're going to be wrapping it around your wrist, so let's see, I'm going to take this one and kind of measure, and I would say, let's measure and see how long that is, and then that way you can cut it off. Let's see, that one measures about 10 inches, so that would be about 20. I would do about 20 inches, because that to me felt a little long. That way, because you're going to have to, once you start folding it, I'll show you, at the base of it, you're going to be folding up quite a bit, probably about 3 inches of it. So making it longer is better, because you're going to be folding it at one point. So I would add at least 4 inches to whatever length you would want. So you'll have enough, and I would even make it even longer than that, just so you can measure it once you have it folded and made, because it's going to draw up just a little bit, but it would be something that you would want to be able to wrap around your wrist, like so. So I think I measured quite a bit on that one whenever I was doing it. Let's see, I was measuring to about here where my thumb is at. And that's quite long for a key fob, in my opinion. And you're going to be folding it up at least that much. So I would probably, let's see, I measured that to be about 20 inches. I would go ahead and do, I'd add 4 and make it 24 inches. That way you can play with it a little bit to see how long it's going to be once we've folded it and sewed down this part. And we'll get a better idea of how long you want it to be at that point. I'm glad you asked, because, you know, not everyone wants to have a lanyard, so, and there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, there's Terry. Hey, Terry. Let me see. I'm going to scroll back and see who all... Okay, so... Oh, Dee. Oh, hey, Dee. I missed you. And Angie. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, you came and you made the little baby hat and bib. Let me let everyone know that for the summertime programs I'm doing for this part of Summer Reading Club, the Crafting with Opal ones I do on Thursdays. Let's see here. I'm going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the program. And tonight, I'll let you, whoever I end up drawing, is going to get a chance to choose from a Hobby Lobby gift card, or a Joann gift card, or a Walmart gift card. Last week I only had Walmart gift cards to give away, so, and I was able to get out and get a few more. My boss was able to go and get a Hobby Lobby one for me today, and I'm hoping to buy, I need at least one more gift card to make it through all of our summer reading programs to give away. Oh! I'm glad you liked it. Angie was just telling me, she said, I did and I loved it. Well, I'm super excited that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that people are following along, because it's I always wonder when I'm doing these, you know, if anyone's enjoying it or having a good time, because I really, really miss doing this in person where I can actually interact with people. But yeah, so stay to the very end, and at the very end, when we're done with the project, what I'm going to do is write everyone's name down, and then depending on how many names I have, I'm going to put numbers next to all the names, and then I have some dice. I'll just roll the dice and see what number I get, and that will be who wins the gift card. And they're $15 gift cards, so you'll get to choose from one of those. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is what I'm using to measure and cut out my fabric. You can just measure it out and mark it with a water-soluble marker, like one of these. They're usually blue, and this is, I guess the brand was Mark Be Gone. But this type of marker, you're able to get the marks off with just water by washing it. Or I've even done this before. If I didn't want to wash the item, like fabric was washed before I made it, I'll take a Q-tip, get it soaked really good with water, and then I'll use the Q-tip to mark the marks off that I made with this. And I'm going to, real quick, just to make sure I'm not going to have problems with my audio this time, I'm going to plug in this little speaker that I have for my camera. Almost forgot about that. Alright, let's see here. I've got something on my camera. Okay, there we go. Got it off. So what we're going to do is we're going to be measuring, since we want it to be 3 inches, we're going to be marking off 3 inches. And honestly, I've already measured this piece of fabric, and it's about the length of about, 50 something inches if I double it. So in order to save myself a little bit of time, this measuring tool I have right here, it measures 6 inches across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out mine 6 inches as I'm going down, and then all I'll have to do is cut it in half. And then I'm going to sew those two pieces together, because sometimes it's really hard to have fabric long enough, because you know you're going to not necessarily have fabric that measures that long. So that's what I'm going to do to this one to save a little bit of time. And those of you that picked up fabric from the library, the pieces I gave you, they measured probably about 7 inches wide, because I was trying to be very generous on how much I gave y'all. So I'm going to start at the very top, and I'm going to, and I don't think this fabric I'm working with is cut very straight, so I'm going to start a little further over for that reason, just to make sure whenever I start cutting this. And I'm just going to cut it down both sides, and I might have to move this back a little bit or to the side while I do it, so I'm able to cut. And I always do better on my right side than I do on my left side, because I have trouble with it shifting sometimes on my left side, of course, because it's not my dominant side. Oops. And I keep feeling like I'm going to run into this camera, so I'm going to shift this off to the side a little bit more. Let's see, how far down did I go? Okay. Because this is going to be a little awkward for me. And it's already moving on me. Let's make sure that everything's still lined up the way it's supposed to be. Alright. Oh, no, you didn't. You shifted on me. It's not going to be a huge deal, but still. Actually, I think I'm going to do this one side first, cut it, and then I'm going to turn it over and cut the other side. I have a little more control when I do it from my right side. Like I said, that's my dominant side. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish cutting this side instead of fighting with it. Let's see here. Which is probably a better idea. Almost. Sometimes there's little spots that I don't quite get all the way. And I didn't quite get it straight, so I must have shifted or something. Okay, now I'm just going to turn it around and do it on this side. And I shouldn't have as much problems cutting it straight this way. So I'm just going to get it lined up. Did I move it? I must have moved it. Yeah, because that top half is not quite straight. That's okay. I'll straighten it up in a minute. Because it's lined up at the bottom for me. looks a lot better. And I'm going to redo this other side since it got shifted on me. And with these, it's always better to pull downwards when you're cutting than to go upwards. It's not, usually it's not going to work very well for you. And I'm going to shift this up quite a bit because the bottom here is going past the table. And so that's probably why it ended up not cutting right for me earlier, because it was a little unsteady at the bottom. Okay. Alright, so now that I've got a piece that's 6 inches, I just want to go back and cut it in half. And I'll show you too. I had measured this ahead of time, but this measures down to here, which, let's see, where is it? Oh, that's my number 1. But the top is 24 inches, so this is 24, and you just think that's twice that. That's going to be 24. And so I've got a little bit more than that, so I've got like another almost 7 inches past that. So that's going to be quite long. So that's going to be long enough for me, because I've already done one for myself before. And then now that I've got this lined up, and you can also, the great thing about these, this piece right here is it's got measurements on it too, and you can double check yourself on everything. And I'm going to have to straighten up this top too. I should have done that earlier, because you can't guarantee that that's going to be straight, and I'd rather make it straight while I've got it all as one piece before I cut it apart. It's pretty straight, but it's not exact, so I'm going to go ahead and get that. And this was just some, like I said, some donated fabric that I had that we'd gotten at the library. And I'm just keeping it in between these marks to make sure it's nice and straight when I'm cutting it. I don't hardly ever use a tape measure, because it's so difficult to. I think a tape measure is mostly really meant for when you're measuring somebody and you're doing garments. But when it comes to measuring like projects like this, it doesn't work well. I tried really hard in the beginning when I was trying to learn how to sew, and I was using those, and it shows this one little piece sticks out further than the rest. Let me double check it. Did I get off on my measurements? Just a little bit. Guess I got in a hurry. It looks like even this side is a little bit shorter than the other, so I didn't actually get it real straight. I guess it's not going to be a huge deal. I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to get folded, so it'll be alright. Oops, the top didn't. And I'm going to glance at the comments real quick just to make sure. Oh, hey Marion, I see that you're watching too. Oh, cool, thank you, Angie. Let's see. Alright. So, I'm going to finish. Fabric to lay on, and there's something underneath there. That's why it didn't feel flat. Okay. And I'm trying to keep this measured. Alright, so there's that. Okay. Alright, so I've got 2 strips now that I'm going to be putting together. And this is kind of tricky. This is the type of thing that you would do to put together bias tape. And I'll tell you right now, bias tape, I'm not real crazy about making bias tape, and I'm not very good at it. That's not something that I've mastered yet. Every once in a while I'll do okay, and I'm able to get it cut right and sewn together correctly, but it's very particular with the measurements and everything. I know the basics of how you're putting it together and how you're sewing it, but I don't always do a great job. Alright, so to put your two pieces together, and I may have to double check myself to make sure that I'm doing this alright, but we're going to be putting the two pieces face down on each other, and you're going to sew across like here, because whenever you fold it forward like this, then it's going to be lined up at an angle like that. So, and this is basically how you would do bias tape too. So I'm going to mark on here. Okay, what is my dogs? Oh, they're playing. Okay, I was wondering what was going on down there. Yes, Lucy, I know you don't want her to bother you. Leave her alone, Zoe. She doesn't want to play. I'm going to get this to help me. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to be running some dogs off. Zoe, go, 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 go. There we go, good girl. But I'm going to be marking this off where I'm going to need to sew it. Oh, they're still playing. Imagine that. Lucy, I don't know why you can't play quietly. Why you have to bark. And this is... Darn you, dog. Okay. Oh, there went my lid. That's the one thing about these markers. The lids don't like to stay on. So I want to mark this diagonally to the other corner. Okay. So I'll know where I'm supposed to be sewing. I've tried to eyeball it, and I'm not very good at eyeballing it. Go, 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 y'all. Please, please, please. You too, Lucy. 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 Go, 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 go. Leave me alone. You don't need to be in here. No, she'll probably fuss to come back in. Okay. Sorry about that. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it too. And you may not have to do this part. If your fabric is long enough, then this step is not a step you're going to have to take. I'm just hoping and praying that I did. Nope, it's not straight. It's not exactly straight. It does not work. I apologize. My dogs like to bark when they play with one another. That's what they enjoy. I don't know why. Lucy, 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 puppy dog. You are really getting on my last nerve, girl. I hate to get on to her for playing because she's kind of older and doesn't generally like to play with the other dog. Okay, I'm trying to make sure. And I almost think, now that I'm looking at this mark, it's going off. The mark that I made, it's actually going off the edge here. It's not lined up correctly. So now that I had it pinned, it's really, I think it's shifted on me. Oh boy, they came back in here to play. Joy. My girls, I tell you. I'm going to have to take that pin out because it's not going to lay flat. I'm really particular about this because, okay, there's my corner. It is right there. So I need to line that up with that corner. So let's do a little bit better job, because this is the one thing that if you don't get it just right, it will not line up correctly whenever you're folding it. And mine, even after all this work, I still may not do it right. Because, like I said, I have a lot of problems with this part. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put mine in there and sew down this line. And like I said, you may not have to do this if your fabric is, your 3-inch strip is at least 50 inches or longer for a lanyard. And I would say if you're doing a, a key fob, then that one, we were saying to make it about 24 inches. I think, yeah, about 24 inches long. So you could very possibly get a piece that is already that long without having to do what I'm doing for this to work. So I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and then once I do this one little thing, I'm going to have to iron it. And if y'all are ready, well, I was going to say if you wanted to go ahead and iron your piece, but if you've never seen it done before, you might not know exactly. It's easy, but it's not necessarily easy to describe. So, and who knows, you may want to watch this part if you ever need to do this. Okay, alrighty, so let me get my piece up under there, and I'm going to double check. Let's see, what was I doing? I need to change my settings on my machine. See, I'm thinking I need to have about a 5 on my tension, and I'm going to set it about 3 on my length. Okay. And actually, always a good thing to do is to test your sewing machine to make sure it's sewing correctly. So I'm going to go grab a piece of test fabric. And since I had so many pieces of strips of my fabric left, I just cut off a little piece that I'm going to feed in here, because you don't want to start sewing and then it not sew correctly on your actual project. This way, if it sews incorrectly, it's not a big deal. You're going to be throwing this in the trash. I was actually making face masks last night, and I didn't even look at my settings. Everything seemed to sew okay, even though it wasn't quite. Let's see. It's kind of hard to see, but it looks okay to me. Yeah, it seems like the tension and everything seems to be fine. Okay. So, just gonna put this in here. And I already had the right color thread for this, because I was using this fabric for one of the face masks I made last night too. Okay, so you always want to start with your needle in your fabric. It really does help a lot. And then I'm going to back up a couple of stitches. And since this is so close, trying to keep it lined up with that blue line, which I don't believe I'm doing a good job. Because I had 2 lines and I didn't remove my other one. So, okay, and since I backed up, that's good enough. I don't have to sew forward. I might have kept it lined up good. We'll find out once I try to fold it. Let's see here. I'm going to take those 2 pins out. And nope, I didn't do a good job. But it's going to be passable. I'm going to make it work. If I did a good job, this would have been lined up better right here. And it's not. I did okay at the bottom. It's lined up. But I didn't do a great job at the top. But this is the type of project that I'm going to be folding my fabric anyway, so it's not going to show So it's not a big deal. I'm not gonna rip it out. Now if it was gonna show, I would rip it out and redo it, but I'm not, because it doesn't, for what I'm doing, it's not gonna matter. So I'm just cutting off my excess threads, and the next part is going to be ironing our fabric. Getting all my cords tangled. I wish I didn't have to move this back and forth all the time. I wish I had 2 cameras and I could just switch back and forth from the cameras, but I don't have a lot of fancy equipment for doing this, so. And I think I'll need to raise this up some more, because that's kind of, which I'll be able to see. And I'm going to cut off the excess fabric too on that. So I'm going to cut it down. About a 1/4 of an inch seam there. I didn't measure it, but it's pretty close. So if you did do this part, you'll need to iron down your seam also. So I'm going to press it open with my fingers first, and then I will use my iron to do the rest. And it's probably cooled off a little bit, so I'm going to set it down and let it warm up. Mine, the safety feature on it, it cools off pretty quick, which is good, because this one gets pretty hot, which I like. It's great for pressing. That's so funny. I'm sure you, Angie made this comment about her headphones died and her dogs were barking at my dogs. That's so funny. I guess that was a few minutes ago when I was running after my dogs and getting on to them. That is funny. Mine sometimes get excited about the dogs on TV sometimes too, if they're particularly loud. Okay. Alright, so I've got that nice and flat. So, what we're first going to do is we're going to fold our fabric in half. So we're going to do 2 different things when we're pressing. We're going to press it just in half first, and then we'll do another pressing in just a minute. So just fold it in half and get it lined up where your fabric's nice and lined up there. And if you've got a good iron that will heat up really good for you, that's great. It's irritating whenever you don't have one. That I found out real quick from a friend when I first started sewing, that just your basic irons for ironing your clothes are not always the best ones for sewing projects, because they don't tend to heat up as good. Some of those cheaper ones that you can buy at Walmart or some of the other places, they don't heat up fast, and they don't get hot enough for when you're doing putting interfacing on some of your projects, because interfacing reinforces your fabric, and it's very handy. But if your iron that you have does not heat up enough, it will not make the interfacing adhere to the fabric like it's supposed to. And I found out mine didn't. I kind of made it work until I was able to get a better one. This brand right here is a German one. I don't know if they make it in Germany or not, but the brand is German, and they have a pretty good name. I have seen some bad reviews too, where some people said that they had this particular brand for years and it was great, and then when they finally had to replace it, the newer ones were not as good as the one that they'd had originally. But knock on wood, mine has worked. I hadn't had any problems with it. I'm very happy. Okay, once you go through ironing it down halfway, then you're going to open it up and you're going to fold to the line that you made with your, when you pressed it. I'm trying, it's not wanting to open up all the way, but you're going to fold the fabric into that press line, and then you're going to take the fabric from the other side and also fold it into that press line, and then you're going to fold it in half like so. That's going to take a little bit of maneuvering, so I'm going to show you again. Sometimes the fabric doesn't want to do right. See, my camera's kind of top heavy, so it was wanting to fall over. But yeah, take both sides and you're going to fold it inwards to where your line is that you formed with your iron whenever you did that first one. So you just fold it inwards, and you want it to line up where it's sitting on top of each other like so. And you can't see one on either side. So that's the way you want to do that, and you're going to do that all the way down, so you're going to have to kind of work with your fabric. I would work like a section of it and iron it, and then do another section. Once you get it going, it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to start pressing mine. And this is honestly one of the hardest parts of this particular project. Once you get this part done, it's just some sewing, some straight sewing. So, okay, I'm having to do some maneuvering here, and I need to redo my camera so it's not so top heavy and wanting to tilt and fall over. Let's see here. How did it get like this? Let's turn it like this. Aha. Well, it still acts like it wants to tip over. Oh, thank you, Terry. She was saying that, whoops. Here, let me also drag my cords over here. The cord is also pulling on my camera and wanting to tip it over. Terry was saying she liked my fabric. Yeah, it was kind of a last-minute decision. I realized when I got home that I hadn't grabbed any fabric from work to do this project with, and so I was pilfering through my fabric I had here at home, and I'd already had this one at home, so I was like, oh, that'll work. It's probably not the best design for this particular project, though, because I'm noticing you're not seeing it very good now that if I'd folded it differently, maybe it would show it better, but that's okay. I'm not too concerned. As long as y'all can see how to do this. Normally I wouldn't be this slow, but it's kind of hard to get to the fabric with the camera in the way. I actually showed this project to a bunch of our teenagers, and back, oh, wow, that's been, seems like a long time ago, but that was probably back in February that I showed the teens how to do this. We set up some sewing machines in the library and in our back area, and because we had someone else, I think it was Vida, the volunteer tax people, were doing taxes for people in our meeting room, and that's what we usually use for programs. But we wanted to, or I thought it would be neat if we could get the teens involved in doing some kind of sewing, and I thought, well, they're coming in the library in the afternoons anyway to just hang out, so why not sit in the area that they usually hang out with the sewing machines and say, hey, do you want to make something? We'll show you. And we actually had a few boys and girls, both, who actually did it, and they seemed to enjoy themselves. They seemed to have a good time. And see how I'm talking about the piece that I put together, how it's getting folded inwards where you don't see it. So it's, if you don't get it exactly, that's why I like to do these beginner type projects. So when you're learning, you don't have to be perfect on doing this stuff for it to to work out for you. And there is a really neat thing that you can buy that helps you make bias tape, and that's essentially what this is bias tape. This is a way you make bias tape. They have this neat thing that you can feed the fabric into once you got your fabric cut, and then it kind of folds it for you while you iron it. It's really neat, but I don't know if I have this particular size. You have to, there's different size ones depending on how big your fabric is, or how wide your fabric is. Okay, almost to the end here. I was trying to go further, but it's not letting me fold it any faster further down. It's being ornery. It's like, no, you can't do this any faster than you are. I won't let you. Alright, come on. Work with me. Quit moving. Alright. I think I've got it. Sorta, kinda. Try not to burn my hands either, because this one can steam up pretty good and get your fingers. Oops. Okay. Alright, so now that we have it folded, it's the time that we figure out how long we want it to be. So, you're going to take your clasp, and I'm going to flip to the directions just to make sure I'm remembering this correctly. The folding and all of that is, oh wait, we have to sew all the way down it. Never mind. But I'm going to jump ahead to that page just so I can look. Okay. Yeah, we do that. Okay. I thought. Okay, so now we're going to take it, before we put this on it, we're going to sew a seam just down this one edge to sew your fabric together. You can do two different seams, like you could do a top stitch on one side that doesn't hold the fabric together if you want it for the look, but you don't have to, because ironing it does hold it down pretty good. So now we're going to take this over to the sewing machine. Let me scoot everything back over. Had to pull it this way. Put that in my lap. Try to get all of this situated. Alright. Actually, I think I need to tilt this up more because it's not cooperating. So I need to just lower this. There we go. So we can see what's going on. Okay. So, make sure I'm threaded. Alright. So you're just going to start, if I can get my hands in here, start with the opening on this side, and you're going to sew down that part. I'm try to get this in my lap. Oops. Let's see. I can scoot in here close enough to get to everything. Alright. So I'm going to start on the edge here, and depending on how comfortable you feel with getting close to the edge of your fabric, that's going to really depend on how you position yours. If you're still real new to this and getting too close to the edge is too uncomfortable for you, then let me show you. You can move it over where it's lined up with the edge of your fabric. Now, there is a cool thing that you can do. Let's say we're going to keep it lined up with our fabric, but we want the needle to hit it closer to the edge. Well, most sewing machines are going to have a stitch width thing on your machine, and mine is up here. And it's got numbers on it, and there's a little solid place right on top that indicates the middle position. If I want to move it all the way over, I move it to 0, and what it did is it moved, and I'll do it again so you can actually see it. This is where it was lined up with that notch on dial. When I moved it all the way to 0, it moved all the way to the edge. So that's a way of doing it, to move your needle to where you want it, to line it up with your fabric better. So, and you may even want to get further over on there. You may even want to shift this where it's just a little bit further over where you right on the edge. No, Zoe, you can't get in my lap. Get down. She's trying to get in my lap while I'm sewing. So it'll work either way. So if you want to get it shifted where it's on the edge of your sewing foot, that's perfectly fine. It's going to work. But if you want it to be closer to the edge, you can. It's just whatever's comfortable to you. And I'm going to start with my needle in the fabric. And I'm going to, let's see here, back up a couple of stitches, which is not a huge deal on this one because it is a lanyard and it's probably going to get cut off. So I'm not too worried about that because I know I made mine too long. So, and it's going to get folded and so forth, so not a big deal. So now we're just going to sew down the edge. And doing something really long like this can sometimes be challenging. And you're probably going to, mine, I notice a lot I have to shift it this direction in order to keep it lined up. But I'm mostly just lightly holding onto the fabric and guiding it through. I'm doing a little shifting. Slight shifts. But most part, I'm just letting it go. And I'm checking back behind my machine just to make sure that's not running into anything that might stop it and bunch it up. Because it's pulling it through for me. I'm not, you're not supposed to push your fabric, you're just supposed to guide it. And I'm going to look back here and make sure everything's doing okay and not getting bunched up. It seems to be doing okay back there. Boy, okay, I'm close to the end. Oh, Linda's watching. Hey, Linda. I think I missed a few other people who waved at me. My puppy dog is whining at me because she wants me to put her in her bed, but I'll do it in a second once we get done here. Okay, I was like, I know I'm getting close to the end of my fabric here. Okay, and just for, I'm going to get to the end and I'm going to back up just for the heck of it, even though I know that this is probably going to get cut off and it won't be a huge deal. It's just good to keep in the habit of always backing up. Alright, so I'm cutting off that and then I'm cutting off my other thread. Alright, and so I'm going to iron this part, but let me switch this around where I can show y'all. Okay, this is the part where you're going to take it and you're actually going to put it around your neck if you're going to be wearing it as a lanyard. And then you're going to see how far down it lays. And I'm holding it and just straightening it up to see how long it is. So you'll stand up and kind of see how long. This one's actually going like past my waist, and I don't want it that long. But now that I've got it together, let's see, where's my camera? I'm going to line up my two pieces Let's see. This camera, okay, let's see if I can get some more light. Oh, not the best, but okay. So where my seam is at, and the seam on the other one, I want the seams to lay on top of each other. So, and you're going to hang it straight down around your neck and keep it nice and straight. And then you're going to get your clasp, this right here, and you're going to fit it over both pieces of fabric, like so. And then you're going to fold it. I'm trying to keep this as straight as possible. So I'm going to move this up depending on how long I want mine to be. So I want mine to hang about here, which is about my waist area. So mine is quite a bit longer than what I want it to be. But I'm looking at this and I know I'm going to have to fold it over. So I'm going to fold it over about that much. That's way more than what I'm going to need. Let's see. I need to mark this. I want to mark where I want this to be. So I'm going to get my marker. And I'm just going to mark it on the fold on one of the sides so I'll know. And I'll also pin it. I'm just going to take a pin, straight pin, and pin it down that line of where I want my thing to be. Because I want to go back over here and kind of show y'all. Okay, my puppy dog is not necessarily doing what I want it to do. She was underneath my feet. Okay, I'm going to switch back. Alright, so now that I have it pinned where I want it to go, I'm going to lay that down, and then you're going to be folding it, and I gave you, everyone who got the supplies, I gave directions on how to do this too, but you just feed it through here, and I'm trying to remember how much did she say, because we're going to, actually I need to know how much I'm going to cut off, so I'm going to fold it over and then fold it under. So we're folding it at this point, and alright, so we want it to, whenever you're sewing it, you want it to be kind of high because this clasp is going to be down here. So when you're sewing, you don't want to get anywhere close to that clasp. So you want it to be folded up probably by at least, that's what, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Let's see. I'll give y'all some better measurements. Yeah, at least by 2 inches you want it to fold upwards. And then you're going to fold it under. And in the picture here, she's got it folded under by about 1 inch. So, that means that with mine, I need to cut it off at the 3-inch mark here. So that's where I need to cut mine to get it to the length that I want. So I'm going to leave this here while I grab my scissors, and I'll even mark it too with my pen. So a 3-inch mark will be good. So that's where I want to cut mine off at. Let's see, there it is. And I'm going to cut it just above it. I'm just trying to be a little generous on how long I want it to be. And see, I did have it pretty long, but everyone's different, you know. The measurements that's on the actual handout, the first time I did it, I followed those measurements, and it was too short for me. And I didn't like how short it was. So this is a good way to make it fit for your body, you know, and also for what you're comfortable with, you know, where you want it to lay. So we're going to be folding this under by at least 1 inch and then down. And I should have kept my pen to hold it in place. I didn't do that. Okay. So let me show you how it's folded. I'll turn it on its side so you can kind of see too. So that's basically how we have it folded, and I'm going to use my iron to iron it in place so that it'll hold it a little bit better. And you have to be careful because of the metal. So I'm going to try to get it as straight as I possibly can. And I'm tucking it in just a little bit more. And then I'm going to press it, which my press, oh, it's heating up good for me. Okay, it even got my, now be careful, don't touch that after doing that because it'll be way too hot and you might burn yourself. So I'm just going to pin it just to take it over to my iron, because you won't be able to keep the pin on there while you're sewing it. But once we get it under the pressure foot, it'll be fine as far as sewing. I'm going to move this back over here too. And we're almost done actually. Let's see. And that's tilted way too much. What we're going to be doing over here. And move it over here a little bit closer. There. I have such a small craft room. Maneuvering in here and doing all this stuff is not necessarily easy. Alright, and so to iron this down, we're just going to be ironing over this area that's doubled up. You're not going to come all the way down to this area. And what you're basically going to do is we're going to sew a square area first, and then we're going to do an X over the middle, and that just kind of reinforces it. So I'm going to take my pin out, and I'm going to pull my threads to the side. Where is my other thread? It got, aha, it did not go where I wanted it to. Alright, so, okay. So it might be a little bit bulky when you're first putting it under there. Oh, Lucy, my other dog is getting upset because my other one is in her bed. I'm going to move her so she doesn't start barking during this part. Okay, get back up here, Zoe, so you don't make your sister mad. Okay. I swear, I feel like they're kids sometimes. They seem like they like to harass each other. Okay, and I'm getting where, this is the edge of where my fold is. So I want to start right there. And I'm going to start with it. And it's going to be a little resistant because it's so thick initially. So I'm going to start with it in there. And I'm going to fold only sew to this edge right here where the fabric ends. So I'm going to sew forward, which if you have problems, you might have to manually, like, see it didn't move. I might have to pick it up and shift it forward just a little bit, because that very first initial stitch, it's kind of hard for it to get over it. And I'm going to hold down my backup button and go back one stitch to do a little bit of reinforcement. But I'm only doing it by one stitch. Since we're going to be coming all the way around again, it's not going to matter. So I'm manually turning my dial on the side to get past the hard part, because that section back there is really thick, so it's kind of difficult for it. Oh my gosh! Hey, Zoe, leave her alone. Leave it. No, ma'am. Okay, so we're going to sew to the edge here, and it's going to be kind of loud, and I'm kind of watching right here. And if you're afraid of going too far, you can manually turn it, and that's not going to hurt anything. And that's what I'm going to do with mine, because I'm going a short distance, and I'm trying to watch from the edge here to see how far I come. I'm going to be running. Y'all can't just, oh. Okay, so I got really close to the edge here, and I want to turn it, and anytime you turn your fabric, you need to keep your, no ma'am. Y'all go on. Here, Zoe, come up here with me. Here, you can get on my countertop. Alright, so whenever you turn your fabric, you always want to make sure your needle is in your fabric. So I'm going to turn it this direction and then lower it, and I'm going to come forward, but I'm not going to go very far. So I'm just going to manually turn my knob and come forward because I'm just moving forward a few stitches. Alright, and because we're just making a box. Alright, so that's a good spot because you don't want to get too close to the edge of your fabric. Alright, so now we're turning again. And I might go try sewing forward. See if yeah, it's moving for me. Sometimes if it's too thick, it doesn't want to move forward and you kind of have to manually do it. Alright. Alright, so now I'm to this side. And I'm going to turn it again. And come back to where I was. And it is a short distance, so I am going to manually turn it. And it's in the really thick part, so it's not wanting to move. So I'm having to kind of shift it and move it a little bit myself. There we go. Once it gets past some of those points, it does a little bit better. And once we get back in this corner, you're going to stop. And now we're going to do the X. So I'm going to turn this again, and I'm going to come across to this corner here. So it's going to be kind of hard again, so I'm going to manually move mine again because I'm in this corner that is extremely tough to get past. So, and when you're doing an X, it's kind of hard to line it up. So this gives you a little more freedom to kind of go slowly to make sure that you're making it look pretty when it doesn't really have to be. And it might be kind of hard to turn it too. Alright, so now I'm in my corner and I'm going to turn it and go back this other way, the short direction here. And I'm going to come back to this corner so I can finish my X. So I'm going to just go back over that one line, which this end you do want to kind of reinforce it too. So I'm going to my corner. Alright. And then I'm turning it again. This will be the last line. So I'm going to kind of try to do it at an angle here. And that's the corner I'm wanting to come to. Which it may, my dog's licking my hand here. Off to the side. Yeah, Zoe, you're wanting to help me, huh? This keeps you out of trouble, at least. You're not harassing your sister and making her bark. And making it hard for people to hear me. Okay, now I'm all the way in my other corner. And I'm going to go back across this other straight edge. And I'm wondering where my other piece of... I've been trying to keep up with this thread. I hope it's not underneath here. Where did it go? Oh dear. That's not good. Well, I don't want to pull it off just yet. So I'm going to come back across. Let's see. Am I lined up? It's kind of hard to see. Oh, it's having trouble going in. Alright, so I'm going to come all the way back to my corner, and then I'm going to do just one backup stitch, or maybe two. I think it's pretty reinforced, so it's probably alright. Oops, hit my camera. Alright, so now I want to pull it out, and I'm kind of curious what happened to my other thread. Did it get, where did it go? Huh. Oh, I guess it got just tangled up inside of there. Huh. I don't see it. Okay, so... Oh, wait, now I do. Alright, so I need some scissors. I'm going to cut this off. Alright, Zoe, are you trying to help me? Okay, so I'm going to take it over to the side and get to see my puppy dog's feet. And we're going to cut off. You want to be the center of attention, don't you? Cut off my threads. It looks like it got up underneath some of my stitches on the bottom side. So I'm having to cut it in several places to cut it loose. But luckily it didn't get down in my machine. So that's the finished finished project. I'm sorry, Zoe, I can't pay attention to you, but this is just a good way to reinforce your stitches and stuff to hold it in place. Where do you recommend buying the swivel hooks? Well, I couldn't find any in the stores, so I just went on to Amazon, and they sell large amounts of them together. You could probably, what I would do, I would probably look on Amazon and look for the nicer ones, because there's some better ones than these. These are fairly inexpensive and kind of cheap. There's some, I think they're called Lobster Hooks, and they're a little bit better made than this design right here. And they are more expensive. You get like usually about 3 or 4 whenever you're buying them. I was wanting to buy them in bulk for this class, so I forget how much I spent for 50 of these. Zoe, you're not the center of attention. So you could check. I bet you anything Joann's probably has some. If you just wanted to buy a few of them, I would check them out, or even go on their website and see if they have them, or call them and see if they've got any. Let me get something to write everyone's name on, so we can do the drawing. And I'm going to get my doggy out of the way. Get up here, Zoe. So let me write down some names, and then I can roll the dice and see who's going to win the gift card. Okay. Alrighty, so I just need everybody to say here in the comments, and then once you do that, I'll write down your name, and we'll do the drawing. And I guess she can't leave her alone. So yeah, just in the comments, just say here, and I'll write down your name, and when I see how many people I have, then I'll pick a dice to roll. Oh gosh. While y'all are doing that, I'm gonna fuss at my dogs. Zoe, go on out of here, dog. Okay. And this drawing is for a $15 gift card from either, you'll get to choose. Y'all stop it. Y'all get to choose between a Walmart gift card, a Joann gift card, or a Hobby Lobby gift card. Okay, so I got D, and I got Angie. Oh, Lucy, you are being a bad girl. Alright, so I got D and Angie so far. And I know there's more people watching, because it shows that there's at least 4 people watching. So I need your name. So I need you to say that you're here, so I can get you listed, so I can do a drawing. Let me see if I can click on that and see if it'll tell me who's watching. Well, I'm going to give a few more minutes. While I'm waiting for people to comment, because sometimes there's a big delay between people commenting and me talking. So I'll just show y'all real quick. And see, now there's 5 people watching. So, alright guys, whoever's here, I need you to make a comment in the comment section saying here, so I can see your name. And we're going to do a drawing here in just a second. I'm late. Okay, well, let me write you down, Pat, because you're here. Alright. And I'm going to show you... Oops, my pen fell. Alright. What we're going to do next week, we're going to paint this. This is, I got this from the Art Sherpa website. Okay, yeah, Terry's here, she said, but don't count me on the drawing. Okay. But this is what I'm going to do a paint along next week, and you can, I'll be advertising this on the Facebook page as an event soon. Oh yeah, and you'll be able to sign up for supplies for this one. And if you're not one of the ones that got paintbrushes last time, because we did one once already where we gave away paintbrushes for the project, if you weren't one of those people, then you can get paintbrushes this time. The people that got paintbrushes, I have one brush I need to give you guys because I wasn't able to get them last time. It was we had to give them a, what was it, a foam brush to paint their background, and because I wasn't able to get one of the bigger brushes, so I got a big brush for the ones that got the other paint brushes, so I have a list of the ones that signed up last time. So if y'all sign up this time, I'll give you one of the bigger paint brushes to go along with your supplies. But what you'll get is a canvas, paints, paintbrush. There'll be some other things too, but the main stuff for sure you'll be getting. All right. Okay, well, I think I've given enough time for people to say that they're here for the drawing. So, let's see. I got 3 people. So let's see. How small of a dice do I have here? Let's see. Well, here's one that's okay. Well, that's not good. I don't know how to read that. What the heck? Oh, maybe I shouldn't use that one. I can't read it. Here. This one's more than 3, but surely we can. That's a 7. No, not an 8. That's a 6. Come on. I need a small number. 4. No, nobody. I wish there was a 3-sided die. 2! Yay! Okay, so Angie won! Yay! Alright, Angie, so in order to pick up your gift card, tell me which one you would like first, and then I will explain to you how to go about getting your gift card. So it's a Walmart gift card, or a Joann gift card, or a Hobby Lobby gift card. So you get to pick one of those, whichever one you prefer. So just let me know which one, and I will. Alright, yeah, congratulations. You'll take the Walmart. Okay, let me write that down. So Walmart. And in order to pick it up, all you got to do is, it's funny, the person that won last week, she still hadn't picked hers up. You can just pick it up through our curbside services. Just pull into one of the parking spaces in the back of the library and just call us on your phone and say that you're there to pick up your prize, your gift card that you won, and from the Crafting with Opal program. And there's a box I have behind my desk that says, you know, I think I put Summer Reading Club, Adult Summer Reading Club prizes on it. I guess I need to write this program name on it too, so they won't get confused. But it's the only prize box I have. So anyway, just tell them that you're there, and what they'll do is they'll get it and they'll go put it on that table right behind the book return, and then you can come up and pick it up. All right. I think that's about it. We'll be doing that the painting next week, and then next month, just to give y'all a quick preview, on the first Thursday in July, we're going to be making, it's going to be sewing class, and we'll be making like fabric bowl covers. It's kind of like something that you would use, like say that you were going to a potluck outdoors somewhere. Instead of using saran wrap or something like that, it's a cover for that type of thing. Or if you needed a cover for something when you're microwaving it in the microwave and you don't want to use plastic, you could use this for it. And then I'm going to start a new class on the first Friday of each month. I'll be at 10 a.m. on Fridays, and just the first Friday. It's going to be just, we're going to call it First Friday Crafts. And I'm just going to be kind of introducing you to a craft each time. The first one's going to be embroidery, and I'm just going to introduce you to some basic stitches, and it'll be an hour class. And I'm just going to cover just whatever we have time to cover in an hour, and just showing you how to do some basic embroidery stitches. And then we'll be in the Crafting with Opal class, we're also going to, the next week after that, we'll do a mini messenger bag we'll make. And we'll have supplies for all the Crafting with Opal classes. And then we're going to do a special SRC paint-along on a Saturday the 18th in July, and it's going to be a canvas bag that we're going to paint. And I don't have the painting with me right now, but what you're going to do is you're going to have a canvas bag like this, and we're going to paint like a square, a white square on it, and we're going to paint an actual design on it. So that'd be kind of cool. And then, and that's a Saturday program we're going to do. I forget what time that one's going to be. And then we'll do, on the Crafting with Opal, we'll have another painting one we'll do that's a wisteria willow tree. And then the last Crafting with Opal that month is going to be like a pillowcase. Like say that you've got a pillow, a throw pillow on your sofa, and you want to kind of change it up for the holidays. It's just a simple way of making like a case that you can put over it that's a different design to kind of, you know, jazz it up for, you know, maybe for the holidays, or just to make it look different for a change if you're kind of tired of looking at it but you don't want to get rid of it, type of thing. So that's what we're going to be doing in July. So that, I think that's all I got. And unless y'all have any questions or anything, I guess this will be it. And I guess I'll switch the camera up. So I'll just be seeing y'all next week for the painting class. And like I said, be sure to, we'll have it advertised starting, I think the post is supposed to go up for the class, advertising it about 9:30 tonight, I think, or tomorrow morning. But yeah, as soon as you see that, or if you just want to call tomorrow morning when we open at 9 o'clock, you can sign up for supplies starting then. Okay, well, I'll see y'all next time then. Bye.